Beautiful people, beautiful people. How are you? I see beautiful people in the house. I see my mom in the house. What's up, mother? Number one fan. I see Don in the house, live from New York. I see Osceola. I see you in the cut, Mr. Howard. How are you? Good to see you. All right, well, we're going to jump right into it. Up, look at it. Look, Kiki's in the house. Hey guys, good to see. I'm sorry, Rochelle in the house. My bad. That was habitual. All right, we're gonna get right into this great conversation. But before, I gotta do the homework. I'm asking you please to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have your own YouTube account, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. I see you in LinkedIn. I see you. And of course, um, my book. Make sure you get it. Get it for yourself. Get it for others. Gift it to someone who wants to be successful in STEM. Phenomenal STEMist is on Amazon now. Or I have copies as well. Feel free to contact me if you want. And you can find me in multiple places, but here's my website, www.phenomenalstemist.com. Good to see you. Ma, I'm cold. My mother's like, you look like you're from New York in a sweater. I'm cold. It's cold. I'm like, hey, New York, y'all need to warm up. New York needs to warm up before we get there. Sister Howard, for some reason, your comments never come on to um my restream so I can show your comment. Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't allow it. You must have a strict maybe a strict security. So it's cool. But I saw you say hello. I saw you. I saw you say hello. Good evening. Well, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. We're talking about good and bad debt. Now, listen. The first thing I want to say is there's no judgment here. No judgment. All of us have had bad debts. I don't have a second car anymore, and I look how I gave that car away and how much I paid for it, and it's like totally. Anyway, I mean, like I'm not regretful of it. Somebody is being blessed by it, but cars are depreciable items, and if you put a lot of money in a car, just know that they depreciate over time. So imagine investing all your money in debts that depreciate over time versus debts that could have a positive effect on you. So, good and bad debt. So, it was a debate in the chat about good and bad debt. I posted in phenomenal um, I posted in phenomenal financial freedom. Speaking of which, let me share that to my page. Yeah, I posted that in phenomenal financial freedom, like stop spending or stop basically getting into debt. And so most people agreed. But then I had some people like, well, there's such thing as good debt. And usually it's finance people like Delani and Dwayne say it all the time. And these are finance guys. There's good debt. There's good debt. And I'm not saying that there's no good debt. But what I'm going to review through this article, good versus bad debt. This is coming from CNBC.com. What you've been told is probably wrong. So, first of all, what is good and bad debt? Okay. So, good debt is defined as debt or money owed for things that can help build your wealth, that can help increase your income over time. So, what are some examples of so-called good debt: student loans. Okay, for instance, I took out student loans while in college. I took out student loans in college. I majored in a STEM field, biology, and I knew that it would be worth my investment to take out student loans. My mother could not afford to put me through school 100%. And I'm not going to put her in debt. I want to make sure she had a strong retirement. I didn't want her taking out mortgages on her house for my education. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. She needed to build a strong nest egg for herself, for so that she could be safe in retirement. So what did I have to do? I wanted to go to a private institution, a historically black college university, which I believe nurtured me better than other institutions. I graduated in 4 years. I had great professors. I had great opportunities. I saw professors that looked like me. There was so much value in going to historically black college university that I decided that I would go to it. It is also a Seventh-day Adventist university, and I felt that that institution would nurture me spiritually, especially going through such a rigorous, very rigorous, um, rigorous academic choice in terms of field. So I needed God and I needed my culture. So I went to a combination of both. Well, that was going to cost me way more than if I had stayed home. So I had to take out student loans. However, I had to, well, I'll talk about that a little later. So student loans, mortgages. I have a mortgage. I have a mortgage. I bought a house in 2013, almost 10 years ago. And and I thought it was time for me to leave my mother's home and buy my own home. My uncle told me to. It's time, Maya. And he was right. He was right. I got in at the bottom of the low of the 2008 housing crash. After 2013, the stock prices started to rise. And I got in a very good home, and I'm living in a very nice home. I'm paying less in mortgage than most people pay in rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. I got in at the right time, but I didn't have cash. So I had to take out a mortgage. That's a so-called good debt. Now my equity has appreciated drastically, and it is one of the major contributors to my net worth. My home is one of the major contributors to my net worth. I had to take a loan for it. Therefore, it's a good so-called good debt because it led to the increase of my net worth. My education led to the increase of my net worth. I have not taken out a business loan yet. I'm funding my own business off of the profits that I make. I think I'm sticking to it. But some people have more to do, and they need more equipment to do what they want to do. I love my business is strictly from my computer and my phone and technology like this that you could buy, that you can reinvest in. And so I have a low overhead. So all my money comes as profit. And then in order to be in a good tax bracket, I have to spend that money. I have to reinvest in my business. So that's what I do. I reinvest in my business. But some people have a higher overhead. They do make good money in their business, but they have a higher overhead. So they need to, for tax purposes and just for cost purposes, they need to take out business loans. But overall, it'll increase your wealth. Okay, so you get that? You get what a good debt is? Good debt is business loans, student loans, mortgages. In theory, I want to talk about how I feel all debt is bad, and you just Some is better than others. That's how I feel. All right. So, what is bad debt? Okay. Bad debt is debt, obviously, that does not increase your wealth, right? Bad debt refers to credit cards, consumer debt. What is a consumer debt? Anything you had to pay for that depreciates in value, like my car loan. I told you, I bought that car in 2008. I basically gave that car away. It's such a small percentage like of what that car is worth. That car was worth $1,900. The car was worth $1,900. Okay? I paid $20,000 for that car. I paid $20,000 for that car, brand new, which I will never do again. I will never buy a brand new car again. Well, now it's crazy because used cars are more expensive than new cars. It's crazy now. At any rate, I bought that car brand new, $20,000 back in 2008. It served me well. It took me places where I have to go. I needed a car. Cool. However, took a loan on that $20,000. And I paid that thing off. Maybe I think I paid it off in 3 years, because you should always pay off a car loan, in my opinion, in 3 years. Anything other than that, you're just basically paying a whole bunch of interest for a depreciable item. Either way, I paid interest on that car, 5%. I think it was like 3% or something, 3 to 5%. I don't. Let's say it's 5%. So 5% a year compounded, right? So 10% is $2,000. So I was paying $1,000 times 3, I think. So about $3,000 extra. Let's say 4,000 because of compound. Yeah, yo, Sophie, used cars are crazy right now. Sorry, not. Oh, for some reason, Sophie, I can't show yours either. I see you on Facebook, Sophia, but for some reason I can't show it. But yeah, used cars are crazy right now. What was I saying? Yeah, so let's say I paid for a car that's worth 20. I paid a little more than $20,000. So let's say I paid $25,000 for that car, and it's worth 19. So let's say it's worth 2. That car is only worth 1%. I lost 99% of value. 99% of value of that car. And you get a loan on that? So everything that you buy, everything that is not investment in your education, your mortgage for asset, or business, which is asset, is a consumer debt. Furniture, um, cars, jewelry, shoes, clothes. These are all consumer debts, and people pay good money for these things. And they're like, so then the people who have good debt are judging the people with consumer debt. And I just feel all debt is bad. And here's why. Here's why I think all debt is bad. But now that we know the difference between good and bad debt, I hope you understand the difference. Good debt can help you increase your wealth. So if you take out a loan on an investment property, you literally can buy a there you go. I'm able to do it now, Sophie. There you are. Used car prices are crazy right now. Yeah. So I could buy an investment property, then put somebody in it, rent it, and then it makes me an income. See, that's how you get wealth. You get wealth through asset development, as Don says. Assets. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, I'm seeing y'all talk, and I'm like trying to put it up there. It takes some time. Many people feel like their investment is an asset, but it's really a liability. That's what it is. Good debts are debts and assets that lead to appreciation. Bad debts are debts paying interest on things that are lead to depreciation. That's the simple deal. But many people feel that they're getting good debt, but they're really getting bad debt. And many people are telling you to get into good debt, but you're really getting into bad debt. Here comes my mother. My mother says furniture is necessary. You know why she's saying that, right, Rochelle? Because she just bought something that I was like, Mommy, furniture is not necessary. And can you afford that furniture? If you can, that's fine. But and listen, you can get depreciable items. I have depreciable items. Who am I to tell you not to buy depreciable items? What I'm saying is, if you're not investing in appreciable items, things that appreciate in value, because you have to spend money on depreciable items like furniture, which is not necessary. Your furniture was fine, but you had to go get something different. That's right, Don. Needs versus wants. Let's see what Sophie's cars depreciate as soon as you drive them off the lot. The only time they appreciate is when they are classics in mint condition or in a class of cars where only a certain amount were created. Otherwise, buy a car that has longevity, like Toyota or Honda. Absolutely. But you know, I love me some BMW. I'm not like that made me feel good. That pretty car. So so I'm not hating on those who buy luxury the items, but truthfully, you are correct. They depreciate. They depreciate. Okay, back to my original point. Assets make you money. Liabilities take money from you. Too many times people are getting loans in things that they think are assets. So they think they're getting good loans, but really liabilities. I'm gonna end with this. Number one, the student loan. I just told you that the student loan was a very good debt of mine. However, I majored in a STEM field. Not to say everybody needs to major in the STEM field, but basically, I invested money in a job in a education field that I knew would bring me money. It would give me a good return on my investment. And even still, I didn't take out loans for graduate school. I made sure that graduate school was free and they paid me. Right? So I only came out of school with a small amount of student loan debt. Having a large amount of student debt that does not give you a return on your investment is not good debt. So if you're going to school to make to go into a position that only makes you $25,000 to $30,000 a year, do not get into student loan debt. That's worth $100,000. Too many people go to school, pay hundreds of $1,000s in student loan debt, and get a job paying $30,000 a year. That is not a good return on your investment. You should have went to a different institution, or pick a different field, or make more money. But if you make more money outside of the education that you're getting, you're not getting a return on your investment. You're spending too much money on education, which does not lead to a return on investment. Therefore, it stops being a good debt. Meaning, you shouldn't borrow. This is what the article said. Rule of thumb: you shouldn't borrow more in total than you expect to earn in your first year on the job. I love that rule of thumb. You should not borrow in total. You hear that? Than you expect to earn in your first year of the job. So if you plan to go into a job that only makes $30,000 a year, then you should not borrow more than $30,000 for 4 years. Woo! Woo! I love it. I love it. So what you gonna do? You have to work. You gotta have to think about going to state college first and then university. Like you really don't need to go to a university for for an undergraduate degree. especially if you're going to do it in your passion. Let's say your passion is, I'm not going to even mention a job because I don't want people to think that I think their job is worth doesn't pay that much. Yeah. Yep. Needs versus wants. Needs versus wants. Love it. Okay. So, yeah, back to my original point. It's not a good debt. Mortgage is considered good debt. I'm talking about why I feel like some good debts aren't that good. Mortgages are good debts. I have a mortgage and I believe I got a good debt. Why? Because I bought when it was low and my house is appreciating in value. And I'm currently paying less in mortgage than many people who are looking for one bedroom. I have a 3-bedroom home, multiple other rooms, right? 2,400 square feet house. And I am paying what people pay in Florida now. I mean, I used to say New York. In Florida, apartments are expensive. So was it a great debt? Was it a good debt? Is it a good debt? Kind of, sort of. However, I'm not gonna keep that mortgage for long. I'm not gonna keep that mortgage for long because the longer I keep the mortgage, the more money I pay in interest. Number one. Number two, some people are paying too much mortgage. They did not have 20% down, so they're paying their a mortgage insurance. They get bad mortgages like adjustable rate mortgages where it shifts, right? Look what the article says. During the subprime mortgage crisis, millions of borrowers lost their homes to foreclosure as housing prices dropped and their ARM, meaning their adjustable rate mortgage, shifted upward, and it ballooned. And it's not an asset if it's not making you money. Some people get too much house, too much, like just like how you get too much student loan debt, you get too much house, too much house. Sophia says 15-year mortgage if you can. With me, I got a 30, but I'm paying it off. I'm trying to get out of debt in 10. Like I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself, so I'm paying it off, and I'm paying it off. I'm paying off a 30-month mortgage early. You know, yeah, adjustable rate mortgages should be illegal. Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is where I feel like we trust this institution too much. The main targets of subprime lending were people of color. So this is the thing. It's like people should, I was talking back with Dwayne about, education is the key to get to knowing the difference between good and bad debt. I mean, education is important, but at the same time, we live in a racist society who target people of color to give them a raw deal. Let's not deny like these things exist that should be illegal. Let's not deny redlining. Like redlining is literally carving out communities to literally disempower them. And I have so much examples of people who want to invest, who want to take out proper loans, but they're getting deceived a lot. How many black communities in our neighborhood are gentrified? Gentrification is a timeless institution. How come it keeps happening? How come it keeps happening? People come in our neighborhoods and say, we're going to give you a good deal. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they gentrify it and kick everybody out. Look at Bedford Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Look at Harlem, New York. These are partnerships. These are things where people targeted people of color to say that we're going to do right by you, and then they didn't. That's my only issue. You're taking out loans from people who say they're going to do right by you, but they're really trying to screw you. Example, mortgage insurances and arms. They're trying to screw you. Let's see what people have to say. There are times when one has to do it, but make necessary changes ASAP. That's a good point, Mom. I don't believe anyone has to do it, but I think we were told we had to do it. So, an example, and I appreciate like my mom got a arm back in the 80s and then refinanced it and got rid of it, right? And I'm glad you got the house because that house in New York was pivotal into bringing wealth to our family for the houses that we have down here. So am I going to say that you shouldn't have done it? You did the best you could. The problem is there should have been you still had enough credibility that they should not even have offered you an arm. That's my point, Ma. You had a master's degree from NYU. You understand? Like this is I'm saying people of color get treated with ill-gotten behaviors, and the most educated of us, the people who have a business mindset, who want to invest, and these are the packages that are given to people like us with the best of education, with the best of goals. I don't trust them. Don't trust them. And so what I'm saying is we need to be able to build our own wealth without the debts of others as much as possible. I said before, I built my wealth because of good debt. I got student loans, I got mortgages. The key thing is, I got rid of my student loan immediately. To my mother's point, there are times when you have to do it, but make changes ASAP. I don't have loans no more. And I'm almost done with the mortgage because I don't trust whoever owns my mortgage now. It keeps flipping because they're not making money off of me. They're not making the money that they want off of me. Why? Because I'm about to pay that Bama off real quick. See, banks make money off of us when we stay in debt too long. So I started off with Chase. Chase got rid of me, put me to somebody else. Then they got rid of me, put me to somebody else. Now I'm in a fourth banking institution taking on my loan. Why? Because they're not making as much money as they want. It's a good debt to increase your wealth, but it shouldn't be there for long. All right? And then lastly, business loans. Business loans are important. Business loans are important. Don says cultural and tradition need to be tested and verified for each individual situation. Actually, that's the truth. So there's no rule of thumb. So I'm telling you what good debt so-called is. Good debt is debt that can be used to increase your wealth. But too many of the times, we're getting screwed by those so-called good debts. It is the major people who are getting screwed by student loans are African Americans. They're getting targeted by predatory loan companies. They're targeted by predatory institutions, and so and then of course they don't have enough wealth to even go to college. So they're taking out massive amounts of student loan debt when as a black person we get paid less than our counterpart already off the bat. So we're being loaned excessively, and then we're being disenfranchised in terms of pay excessively. It doesn't always work for us. But should you get a student loan? In moderation. Number 2, mortgages. Subprime mortgages were targeted to people that look like us. So you should not be in subprime mortgages and arms. but they make it seem that that's the only one you have. So you have to know the right ones. But what if the right ones are never offered to you? It's an unfair system. So you have to make sure that you try to empower yourself the best way you can. And then lastly, business loans. Business loans are important to take if you need to make moves for equipment that you cannot afford cash, but you know if you had this equipment, if you had this property, whatever you had, if you had it, you would make an excessive amount of money, right? Let's say you're a farmer and you know you need that tractor. You know that if you had that tractor, or you would be able to till the soil much faster, you would be able to do something much faster, and then you would make an excessive amounts of profit through your farm, and then you would be able to pay that off, then try to basically take years to buy that tractor. By the time you waste time taking years to buy that tractor, you've lost all the money you could have made. You see, that's the value of good debt, quote unquote. Same thing with student loan. Like, you could go to community college, and it is valuable, but you know how many people stay 6 years in community college when they could have been in a HBCU that nurtured them, that got them out in 4? You see what I'm saying? Now, I believe going to community college, but make sure you have a plan and you're done in 2. Make sure you have a plan and you're done in 2. That's the point. You so and to me, I feel like I was nurtured better at a HBCU to get me out quick, so that by the time I got out of school quickly, I was able to make that money. You spend too long in school, you're losing all the income you could have had. So it was valuable to me to take $15,000 out, get out of school in 4 years, versus not take any debt out, and I don't know, get out in 6 years. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. So the same thing with the business loan. Like, I could take all this time to build my cash to invest, or I could just take a loan out and get a massive amount of increase because of that loan, and then pay the loan off quickly. But too many times people don't have good businesses. They're just taking out money and there's no business plan. There's no they don't make any money. So now they don't have any money, and then on top of that they have a loan. Here's the thing, what's your plan? If you have a good business plan and you're going to make money, then take out the business loan. There are so many people that missed out, so many businesses that missed out on this past group of business loans that came because of COVID. Many people did not know any of the rules, or they did not have the system set up. They didn't have a business loan account. They did not have their information on paper as a legit business, so therefore they could not take advantage of those 0%. Like, that's a great loan. A loan at 0%, that means you borrow money to get great amounts of wealth and you don't have to pay any interest, versus there's some loans that have low interest, and the low interest is worth you paying for the amount of assets that you get. The key thing is, do you have a real business? Are you taking a loan out for a real business, or are you just messing around? All right. So anyway, that's it for today. Let me see what everybody has to say. Sophia says Wells Fargo just reported about their refinancing practices and people of color. They were well below the average among all lenders, something like 47% versus 71% approval for others. This is what I'm talking about, Sophia. You want me to partner with these dudes? These dudes who literally choose to disenfranchise us? I mean, the Jim Crow was a governmental law. Like, do you understand that this country literally is based upon choosing to disenfranchise a group of people that look like me? How can I trust them? On the other hand, wealth is built by having assets that appreciate in value. How do I get those assets quickly? I get these assets quickly using debt. It's a catch 22. It's a catch 22. But if you choose debt, choose wisely. Make sure you read the fine print. Make sure you know, understand how much it's going to cost you. Generally speaking, a mortgage should be less than 28% of your gross income. If it's more than that, it ain't an asset, it's a liability. So in closing, a good debt is a debt that leads to the purchase of an appreciating asset. It's going to lead to the increase of your net worth overall. So it's worth taking out the debt with the and paying the small amounts of interest based on the massive volume of increase that you will have. A bad debt, it ain't doing nothing for you. I ain't even waste time on it. Stop purchasing depreciable items. Stop purchasing liabilities and paying interest. Stop paying interest for double the liability. You have to decide. There has to be a point where you have to say, you know what? I'm not going to borrow anymore. I'm not going to borrow anymore. Thanks, guys. It was fun. It was fun. It was fun. It was fun. Remember, subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's always fun talking to you guys. Let's spread the word, y'all. Let's get out of debt. Debt is bad. It's just the other ones are a little better. Let's increase our coffers so much that we're borrowing from ourselves. We're borrowing from ourselves interest free. All right. See ya.